thing. The economy too, you know, we have been here for a very short time. But the economy has been, I would say, somewhat torn apart by past regimes. Otherwise, we should have very strong economies today. That's what I say when analyzing our strengths. We realize that we shouldn't be at this stage. We should be much further along. When you consider the AES in terms of population, in terms of area, we are doing very well. In terms of production, normally the AES states should not import anything regarding agricultural products, the food. Today we are aware of this and we are doing everything to ensure that we do not import anything regarding what we consume. In terms of wealth, whether natural, when I say natural wealth, there are underground resources, but there are also those on the surface. Everywhere, we hear that Africans are dying of hunger, thirst, and so on. Projects invented here and there, for example, to provide us with drinking water. The AES is a large reserve of underground and even surface water. In terms of mineral resources, we have nothing to envy from anyone. And in nature, when you take products like, I like to say, shea butter is a natural wealth. We did not plant it. It is God who gave it, but it is very rich. People take it and transform it, so we are aware of our potential. The AES has nothing to envy from anyone. For you, the AES can be self-sufficient, an integrated system that functions normally, perfectly.
Mr. President, when we look at the approach that has just been undertaken by these three states, very concretely, we hear everywhere that there is a need for them to be working with others on a subject that is the most important today, or security. I want to ask, Mr. President, today you have been here for some time already. It's been more than a year. What is your assessment in the field of security? Before we talk about these three states, and in terms of security, in your case in Burkina Faso, a good part of the territory is still in the hands of terrorists. What have you been able to do since you've been here in that area?
Very well. It is actually the priority for me. As you said, these terrorists kill, burn, displace populations, and seize lands. But I can tell you right now, as I mentioned recently, there is no part of the territory where we want to go and cannot go.
Today you can go across the entire territory?
Everywhere. The territories that were under...
Good morning, Africans. Good evening and good afternoon. I hope you're faring well where you are. If you ain't faring well, please fare well where you are. Back on the topic of Ibrahim Traore, my favorite son from the West. Yes. This time Ibrahim Traore was speaking in an interview about the hypocrisy of the West, you know. The West come up front and they call themselves the custodian of humanity. They call themselves the world police. They call themselves the moral observers. But they fall short of these sayings that they call themselves, you know. If there's anyone that is quick to destroying a civilization, it is the West. If there's anyone who has done a lot of atrocities against human lives, it is the West. Look at what has happened. The biggest war happened where? In Europe. The bomb was launched where? In Japan. And by who? By the West, by USA. Civilizations has been crushed by the USA. So they really can't call themselves the custodians of humanity. Ibrahim Traore is saying this in a specific interview. I want us to listen to it. I shall get back.
Unfortunately, over time, the organization has lost those values. And today the situation is clear. I think that for more than a decade, the sister republics of Mali and Niger have been at war against terrorism. And in Burkina, it's been nearly a decade that we have been at war. This organization, which was supposed to create mutual aid and solidarity, we have never received any help from this organization. No soldiers, no logistics, no compassion.
Mr. President, we feel like saying we understand that lately the relations have been particularly difficult, that with what has happened, the coup d'etat that have occurred in EE, these different states you just mentioned, Mali, Niger, and Burkina, you might want to leave. And people are saying, isn't this a reaction to the fact that they don't accept that you allowed coup d'etat, that you are leaving and saying to yourself, well, since they don't accept it, we're leaving?
Coup d'etat are not done because we want them. It's this way of seeing things that needs to change. You agree with me that having these states in crisis to carry out a coup d'etat and take responsibility is very burdensome. But if we do it, it's because we have a desire to lead our people towards a certain sovereignty, because we know the origin of this crisis. And I think we should be supported. People are proud to cite that there are so many millions of displaced people in those regions. But what are you doing to help them? Nothing.
Do you feel that the military is more likely to solve these problems than politicians, civilians? Is that your feeling?
Anyone could do it.
But how do you explain that it's the military who are taking charge and saying we don't want civilians anymore?
No, the military didn't say we don't want civilians anymore. It's out of a sense of patriotism. When the nation is in peril, at some point, important decisions must be made. If it happens that it was the military who had the courage to make this decision, well, that's how it is. In any case, whether civilians or military, we are all children of this country. And anyone who is driven by this feeling of being able to liberate their country could do it. So, it's not a question of being military. Elsewhere, the military has succeeded. And here, too, the military can indeed succeed.
So, Mr. President, what do you say to the ECOWAS leaders who say they are leaving because we said we don't want coup leaders among us?
There are many coup leaders among them. So it's not a question of coup leaders, it's just a facade.
When you say coup leaders, do you mean civilian coup leaders?
There are military coup leaders within ECOWAS who today claim to be Democrats. And there are civilians too. There are worse than coup leaders. There are those who kill, who silence their people in silence. ECOWAS turns a blind eye, a deaf ear. There are plenty of coup leaders within ECOWAS.
So Mr. President says, okay, we are leaving ECOWAS with immediate effect. Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali. We are leaving with immediate effect. Mr. President, this concerns a lot of people. What about the movement of people, your populations who are in an ECOWAS country, that you are leaving overnight? How is this going to happen exactly? Because the texts say it takes at least a year to implement all this. But here, you are saying, no, it's over now. It's over now?
Yes. First, you say the texts say, but they themselves have never respected their texts. It depends on who you are dealing with. That's what we have noticed. The sanctions imposed on Niger, they don't exist anywhere in the texts. So the first ones to violate these texts are these so-called Democrats. We are leaving, but we remain Pan-African. Anyone in Africa, an African who wants to come to Burkina, is welcome in their home, in principle.
But in the opposite direction, it's going to be complicated. Someone who is within the AES, we will talk about the AES in a moment. Someone who is within the AES, we can tell them they can no longer go to Burkina, they can no longer go to Côte d'Ivoire, they can no longer go to Ghana. It becomes a bit more complicated for those who do their business there.
We will see, and we will know what measures to take at an appropriate time.
Is this departure from ECOWAS well thought out, Mr. President?
Of course, very well thought out.
It's not a whim. It's not out of anger.
If it were out of anger, we would have done it a long time ago. I think we took the time to analyze the situation, to weigh many things, and finally, to decide. So, if it were a whim from the very first moments of certain sanctions, the people have been quite resilient, it must be said. They have suffered. So, during that time, we could have decided in anger. Now, we have taken the time to observe, to analyze the situation, and to convince ourselves of our strengths before deciding.
And you took everyone by surprise. Another element in this, let's say, this new way of shaping West Africa, the AES. the alliance of Sahel states. Mr. President, is the AES viable? On paper, it's very, very appealing, but is it viable?
You know very well that it is more than viable. You know, for a long time, our people have been kept in a certain philosophy, always making us believe that we can't do anything without others. Today, our mission is to awaken consciousness. You are doing it very well, by the way.
Yes.
I appreciate it a lot. We need to awaken consciousness for the youth to realize what they have at home. An organization like this, you first need to realize its strengths, weigh its weaknesses, and after this analysis, you decide. The AES is very viable. Whether in terms of
the economies, Mr. President, if I may, these are economies that are very integrated. You produce the same thing, you do exactly the same thing. Who will sell to whom? How is it going to trade? And what do we do about the fact that these are not countries with at least an opening to the sea?
Numbers are one thing. The territories that were under control, if we can say so, for 2, 3, 4 years, we are setting foot there.
Yet there is talk of more attacks than before, when there were foreign armies on the territory.
Yes. Are you sure? More attacks, that's relative. Today we are on the offensive in most areas. We are no longer in a defensive posture. We are going towards the enemy. We are seeking the enemy. When we decided to take our destiny into our own hands, as they say, it's quite an important and very courageous decision. And when you decide like that, all the sleeper cells wake up at once. And that's when you realize the magnitude of the terrorism situation. We realized it well. But to wage war, there is first patriotism, there is logistics, there is now.
Now, after clearly and openly watching this video, you can see that Ibrahim Traore has valid points. You know, many times, I've told you many times that anytime you see the West calling someone bad, it's because they want their bad job to be done. You know, they first identify you as a bad person against your own people. You know, they themselves try very hard not to make their hands dirty. You know, directly, the hands are still dirty. Directly or indirectly, the hands are still dirty. But they try and make it indirectly by using your own people to shed your own blood, right? That is what they have always done. Obama, Gaddafi. Obama has also done some bad things that maybe we don't know, right? He was once the most powerful leader in the world. I don't think it ended with Gaddafi only, but Gaddafi is what we know, right? Michael Langley, see, the other day he was threatening Ibrahim Traore. You see? So the West can't really call themselves custodians of humanity. They have committed a lot of atrocities. They have not practiced democracy. They are quick to pointing to why we should practice democracy, but they themselves are never practicing that. So I myself personally, I know and I understand that democracy is a world and is a government. It's a world, yes. It's a government also of the people, by the people, and for the people. The moment these three terms are not met, any of them, democracy does not stand at all. You know, Western powers have always influenced the politics of Africa. You know, they plant a seed. It's like they plant a political leader who will ensure that their theft, their robbery of natural resources goes smoothly. That is what the West will try and do. They planted Mobutu Sese Seko in DRC to ensure that they will always be looting DRC raw materials. You know, they destabilized the government of Libya because that man Muammar, he might have had his own shortcomings, but there's one thing in particular that was making the West afraid: the unification of Africa. And the West really did not like this. So this time it is Ibrahim Traore trying to unite Africans. So we should just expect the same threats is what we should still expect. Share your thoughts in the comment section. I'd really like to hear what you have to say and know your thoughts about these situations happening in Burkina Faso. Should the West be left to be the custodians of humanity? Are they worthy? Answer this question in the comment section.